Welcome everyone to the Ultimate Gamer Realm. This is your host and creator, Jason Dixon, logging on.
Beware, I live.
If I heard something. Did you hear something back there, baby? I don't know.
I am Sinistar.
Throughout my youth in the realm of gaming, I witnessed a lot of scary things in the realm of gaming. Well, movies or TV shows as well. For instance, genres like science fiction or horror. But a bunch of times, even in non-sci-fi or non-horror categories, any genre can share similar material, even for all age purposes. Now the point is, a lot of games, especially family adventure types, did have scary moments, like Super Mario Bros. 3. Like the Angry Sun on one level. When you're on that level, the Angry Sun stays there and looks down on you. But when you make it through half of the level, the Angry Sun starts chasing after you. Unless if you have star power, I would definitely try to avoid getting hit by it and get to the end of the level ASAP. The Angry Sun from Super Mario Bros. 3 was definitely one of the references of scary things that I ever seen. Outside of horror, and I witnessed plenty more after that and before that. But never mind all about that, because we're going to focus on one subject, and one game, and one main villain.
Beware, I live.
Now in 1996, I discovered in the game magazine a compilation, one of my first compilations I ever played, or eventually played after I discovered it in a magazine, was Williams Arcade's Greatest Hits, which is also known as Midway's Arcade's Greatest Hits. And that was the first compilation I ever played, pretty much. Plus, Midway made more compilations after that for years, like Midway's Arcade Treasures or Midway's Arcade Origin. And that game was on the PlayStation. The compilation was released on the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, and also on the previous gen 16-bit consoles, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. I rented that compilation, well, not just on my behalf, but also on the advice of my dad, since he was familiar with the games on that compilation, like Defender and Joust. Well, he was into those arcade games, and I was still being born at the time. And I was a little curious about the compilation myself, because I actually like compilations that actually have multiple games. That was something new for me at the time. And it's also one of the first times they actually did a Midway's Arcade Treasures compilation. They've been in many of them since then. And I never played any 6 games before then either. And I liked all 6 games. And it was the first time I played them all too. But there's one game on that compilation I discovered. And I dealt with one of the most intimidating space creatures of all time, as well as one of the most demonic, evil creatures of all time. The name of the villain is the name of the game. Sinistar.
Beware, I live.
Sinistar was released in 1982 for the arcades. It's a multi-direction space shooter, if not 8-way like Robotron 2084, which that game was also on the compilation.
Beware, I live.
Oh my god. And the arcade cabinet actually had a vertical screen, so the screen settings will always be vertical on the compilations. But however, I'm going to be playing the game off the Genesis version. Because the Genesis version actually does have options to make the game easier, since it's going to be super hard. And plus, it actually has more of a full screen, so I can see more for a perfect screen resolution. And plus, the Genesis version also has the radar and all the HUDs on the right side instead of on the top. And the Genesis version also meets the arcade standard, since the game was originally released back in 1982, and the compilation came out in 1996, so the Genesis version emulates all these games really well. Alright, let's play. The game is a space shooter, where in space you're shooting up red space workers, warrior ships, and you guessed it, Sinistar. Well, actually, to kill a Sinistar, you need a bunch of mini-bombs, which are called Cine-bombs. And how do you get the bombs? Is to shoot asteroids to do some mining for crystals to make Cine-bombs.
Beware, I live. Beware, coward. Run, run, run. Run, coward. I hunger, coward. Run, coward. I hunger, coward. Beware, I live. I hunger, coward.
Well, mainly what you do in Sinistar is to destroy a Sinistar in each working zone and shoot down any base worker or warrior that gets in your way. And after you destroy a Sinistar with all those Cine-bombs that you mined from the asteroids, you go into the next zone to destroy another Sinistar, or attempt to destroy Sinistar, because the space warriors and the Sinistars can get overwhelming really fast.
Beware, I live. I hunger, coward.
Now, these red space workers do not harm you, but they are responsible for building Sinistars, and these space workers can steal your crystals after mining them. But you can also steal them back after destroying the space workers that took them. But these warrior ships are a pain in the ass to deal with, mainly in numbers, and worst case scenario, they can get an easy jump on your ass when you're trying to mine for crystals and gun your ass down, as well as making it tough for you to prepare to fight Sinistar. And once Sinistar is completely built, you must use Cine-bombs to destroy Sinistar in 13 pieces. It takes about 20 pieces for these space workers to build Sinistar, but it takes 13 bombs for me to destroy it. And depending on how you're handling the mission, or how far you get, it gets even more difficult, especially later on. More warrior ships will outnumber you. And also, as I forgot to mention, space workers can also repair Sinistar during action. And not to forget to mention, these Cine bombs can be intercepted. You must have as much Cine bombs ready before Sinistar gets built. I mean more than 13 bombs. And you must destroy Sinistar as fast as you can. Now, if anybody who plays this game, I want to wish them all the best of luck, because they're going to need it. Because the game, or should I say, the monster itself, Sinistar, will not show any mercy to whoever's playing this game. Or in fact, Sinistar won't have any mercy on your wallet either. Well, fair enough. After all, this was an arcade game from the 80s, and it was common for arcade manufacturers to generate revenue by pushing for a higher difficulty to get more quarters out of your pocket. As well as some arcades have no endings, since it was all about high scores, challenges, and a test of patience for their players. So you just keep going until you run out of quarters, or when you're ready to quit.
Beware, I live.
What makes Sinistar so unique for its time? Mainly the antagonist Sinistar itself. The monster has an evil look of a face on the giant moon. And to me, Sinistar makes the Death Star look like a pussy. I wouldn't be sure if a Millennium Falcon or the Enterprise or the Normandy would be a match for Sinistar.
Beware, I live.
But maybe at the end of the day, depending on how they upgrade their ships, maybe they are. Another thing that makes Sinistar more terrifying is the digital voice they use for the monster, with chilling words. And digital voices in video games was still a new thing. Sure, voice acting was used in other games before Sinistar, like with Berserk or Wizard of War, which was an awesome thing. But this digital voiceover for Sinistar was more convincing than it meets the odds. And when Sinistar gets built or rebuilt, he warns you before he comes after you. He will be slow at first just to give you a little chance. But when he comes after you, you better be ready. Or if you don't have any bombs, or not enough, you must run and try to find more crystals, or you're dead. And don't let Sinistar get close, because it will suck up your ship with an evil war before it crunches on you like a trash compactor. Then if you have another life, or another ship, or another chance, then the already built Sinistar warns you again. You must find a way to get more crystals fast. Which, again, I want to wish you good luck on, because you're going to need it. Another thing about the Sinistar monster, he doesn't just haunt you. He taunts you, as well as insults you. He calls you a coward, or he tells you to run. Sinistar is actually trying to bait you for your quarters. To put it another way, Sinistar is telling you got no chance. Even if you destroy a Sinistar, another Sinistar will always get rebuilt. Rinse and repeat. And you can't get rid of all the space workers or warriors. They're always going to keep coming back too. Meaning, more Sinistars are going to keep coming back. So, since you can't upgrade your ship, or it doesn't have an 8-way shoot like Robotron, then pretty much it's about getting as much quarters out of your pocket as possible. But the good news is, since I'm not actually playing the actual arcade game, I'm not investing quarters to it. I'm investing time to it, which is definitely not a bad thing, because the game is still a unique one and it's still fun to try your luck on. Even though it's impossible, but it's still one of those memorable games and one of those memorable moments. There was no other game like Sinistar at the time. Sure, the shocking, obscure subject came to arcades in 1986, which was Chiller. But Sinistar wasn't even a horror game. Of course, I was still a baby around that time when the game came out. I didn't discover the Sinistar game or any of the games off that compilation until when I was 15. And at the time, I already played Resident Evil and Doom. And when I played Sinistar for the first time in 1996, I still got that demonic skull-faced spacecraft haunting my memories. And it keeps coming back to me time to time. And Sinistar is a face and voice that will always live on in my mind. And to me, it's welcome to stay there. Now, the Williams Arcade Greatest Hits on all platforms were awesome. All 6 games were my introduction to each one of them. Or 5 games if you're playing off the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo. Not only Sinistar catches my eye out of the 6, but also the most brutal game out of the 6 when it comes to hardcore difficulty. Sinistar is indeed a memorable arcade classic, along with Defender, Joust, Bubbles, and Robotron 2084. And I also want to thank my dad for recommending me this compilation, even though I discovered it a different way. But he actually knew the games on there better than I did. I miss you every day, Dad. Love you very much. Now, as far as Sinistar, the arcade game, and consoles go, I mean, with the exception of the Midway's arcade compilations with the emulated arcade game, back in the 80s, there was never an official console port release of Sinistar. There were prototypes, like for the Atari 2600 and the Atari 800 home computer, and they do exist. But there just wasn't an official console release of the game back then. And that's all there is to say about my discovery and experience with Sinistar. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. This is Jason Dixon of the Ultimate Gaming Realm, logging off. Oh, and one more thing. Beware, I live.
Beware, I live. Run, run, run. Beware, coward. Run, coward.